But before that, let's talk bloggers, and I would imagine we're starting with a very happy Evertonian. From the Toffee Blues Everton podcast, we can say hello and good morning to Terry McAllister. Hello, Terry, how are you?
Hi boys, you okay? I'm pretty good.
Well, I mean, you must be more than pretty good, very ecstatic after the news that James Rodriguez has signed for your club. I mean, this is barking, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, it just shows the pulling power of having a top manager compared to some of the managers we've had previously, because, let's be honest, we wouldn't be able to pull superstars of James' level without Carlo Ancelotti. So I'm just over the moon. I can't believe that we've pulled it off.
He's one of a number of new signings, and you mentioned there about the pull of Ancelotti. He's not the only one. Alan is another one. He signed from Napoli, and Decore. What's the latest on Decore? Because if he signed him, I think he could be the best of the three.
Well, with Decore, the common sort of thinking is that he's going to be the next one. It's only a formality now. Yeah, I think he may even be announced in the next day or two. Because obviously he's coming from another Premier League, previously Premier League team, and another team in England, so he hasn't got to jump on flights or anything like that to come over or any of the issues. So he looks like he'll be the next one through the door, and it's just a statement of intent to back the manager, isn't it?
It will be a great midfield, Alan, Rodriguez, and Decore, and I seem to ask the same question every single season when we talk about Everton, what the aim is. And 9 times out of 10, it's like top half, maybe we can get into the top 8. But when you've got these 3 players coming in, and I expect a few more as well, because what you've lost Leighton Baines to retirement. So I expect another maybe 1 or 2 faces coming through the door. Genuinely now, as an Evertonian, what is the aim? It can't just be top 10 or even top 8. It's got to be higher than that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be to be back in the mix. We've obviously been spinning our wheels the last couple of years, from more or less the David Moyes, early Roberto Martinez era. We've fell from being that next team outside the big 6 and even the big 4 before that to sort of languishing in mid-table. I think we've got to get right in amongst the battle for the European places again, and most importantly to win a trophy. I think it doesn't, that the league place at the minute comes second to winning a trophy, because to go as long as this club has without winning a trophy is scandalous.
Hold on, sorry, could I just ask, what's more important then? Are you saying like 12th and an FA Cup is better than top 6?
Oh, for me, definitely is.
Really? That surprises me, that does.
You see, it's because it's been so long since Everton have won a trophy, and the club is a huge club. It's built on winning trophies. I just think that would get the monkey off the back of the club completely with regards to that, and then we'd be able to build on that from there, because the club has been in the top 6 in the last 20 years. It's been in Europe. It hasn't won a trophy, and I think I think a lot of Evertonians, if you'd offered them a trophy with a respectable, league finish, safe league finish, or be in the mix for the top 6, I think every fan, or most fans, would take a trophy. I think you're only going to start to get people to wonder if you do the Champions League in there.
Terry, when you look at all the big clubs that have been in the Premier League, I would say that Everton are probably the biggest underachievers in the Premier League. You kind of alluded to it earlier, the length of time you've been without a trophy. And money's been spent. I did see a stat the other day, you might be able to correct me here, but I think over the last 5 years, Everton are the 3rd highest spending football club in the country. So, and to have nothing to show for it, and to finish 12th last season, really does show that you have been starved at any success.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the issue is, whilst Farhad Moshiri, the owner, has been very committed in his backing for the club and supporting each manager that he's had and giving them money to spend, he's picked the wrong managers. He's given the job to the wrong director of football before the one we've got now. Poor managerial choices, which he's had to quickly correct and change. And it's not a lack of commitment. I think it's more a lack of knowledge and expertise, but hopefully the lessons have been learned now, because there is with all due respect to these managers, there is a marked difference in quality and track record compared to the previous managers that have been appointed in Marco Silva and Sam Allardyce compared to Carlo Ancelotti.
I'm just looking at your fixtures, your opening day fixture against Spurs. I think we'll learn a lot about Everton in that first game, won't we?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. The performance after the lockdown and the Project Restart games against Spurs was it was where the wheels started to come off. We played all right up until then. We got a good point against Liverpool. We won away at Norwich. You know, it wasn't spectacular, but we were very functional. And then we lost to Spurs, and it didn't really, you know, give a good account of ourselves. And then we just sort of fell apart from there. And I think that may have told Carlo Ancelotti a lot of what he, you know, needed to know about the squad. That when the key games come up and the pressure's on, it's not a case of ability. I think the mentality needed changing, which is why he's gone back to players he's had previously to be his lieutenants to sort of change the culture.
Terry, listen, thanks for coming on. I mean, I'm going to ask you a question. We won't remember the answer, but I'm just curious. Where will Everton finish this season?
I'm going to say 7th. I think it's a bit early to go any higher than that, but I think we can get back.
And you'll be delighted with 7th, yeah?
Oh, for a start, yeah, definitely, and then they'll build up from there.
All right, Terry, listen, a real pleasure. The first of many chats we'll have with you this season, but for the time being, thanks for coming on.
Brilliant. Thanks, lads. Have a good night.
Our pleasure. There you go. Terry McAllister, as I mentioned, from the Toffee Blues Everton podcast. Where do you think Everton will finish, Shay?
I think he's right. I think 7th is the highest they can get. If they get any better than that, I think it's a really good season. Depends what they do in the Cups. If they can get in the latter stages, then all round it'll be a pretty good season.
It will indeed. 12th last season, so 7th will be a huge improvement.